Okay, we're going to take a look at the term regrouping. So regrouping is taking objects in a group and placing them into a different format. So the format we have here is 7 blocks plus 4 blocks plus 3 blocks equals 14 blocks. Now, we could have very easily arranged these blocks into different groups. We could have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 6 plus 3. That also equals 14. We could have 5 plus 5 plus 4. That also equals 14. However, we chose to put it in this format, 7, 4, and 3. Now, when we look at Common Core, we oftentimes want to place these into tens. Why? Because 10 is easier to work with. So let's take, for instance, these 3 right here and put them on top of the 7 blocks and make a 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 blocks right here plus 4 blocks, which is 14. As long as we didn't add a block or take a block away, it's still going to be 14. Okay, so that's regrouping. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at an actual problem and see how this works, because we can describe it, but let's look at a real problem. So we're going to take 9 plus 5, and as you know, that equals 14. And so we would have 14 ones. Okay, so that's 14. 9 plus 5 was 14 blocks, or 14 ones. Now I split this up into the ones house and the tens house. Because a child wants to see them, or we should actually explain it to them in terms of place value. So the 9 and the 5 are in the ones house, and right now there are no tens. There's not any tens in the tens house. But 9 and 5 is 14 ones. Now in traditional or standard format, what we would have done is we would have written a 4 right here, and the 10 would go up here, which as you can see is really 10 blocks. We're going to put this over here. 10 blocks as opposed to the number 1. So typically we would say 4 and then write a 1 right here. I'm just going to write a 1 right there. 4, 1. That equals 14. What we oftentimes will do in Common Core is the same thing. This is called carrying. Carrying is just a different term for what we now call regrouping. So as you can see, there's 10 blocks here, and 10 actually can't be in the ones house. So we're going to take this 10 and we're going to put them right over here. And you'll oftentimes see this. We'll oftentimes just put them right here as opposed to here, but we put the 10 right here and the tens house, and the 4 it stays right there because it's 4 ones. And so now we have 10 plus 4 is 14, and we've regrouped the 14 ones into 110 plus 4. Now, lastly, what I'll say is that if this was a subtraction problem and we had to borrow a number, let's say this was a 3 and we had to borrow what we say a 1, it's actually borrowing a 10. So the point here, I'm not going to go into too much detail on that right now, but the point with subtraction is that borrowing is actually regrouping. So if we had to borrow a 1, we're actually borrowing a 10 into the ones house from the tens house. Alrighty, so that's regrouping, and thank you for your time.